The GIPC index looks at 30 countries across 30 indicators. The indicators focus on the different sectorial needs of the content industry, the ICT industry, the pharmaceutical industry, the brands industry, as well as others. As such, we look at different rights such as patent-related rights, copyright-related rights, trade secrets, trademarks, as well as at enforcement level on top of the additional textbook level. Also, we look at membership and ratification of international treaties. Overall, a country can get a score between 0 to 30, in which every indicator can get up to a score of 1. In total, we look at different specific needs such as pharmaceutical patents, protection of trade secrets, regulatory data protection. For the ICT sector, we look at computer-implemented inventions. For trademarks, we look at the protection of brands as well as the need to non-discriminate brand owners on the basis of their nationality. We look at the need to enforce copyrights on the digital world, such as the ability to use so-called notice and takedown measures. We also look at measures that focus on enforcement on the ground, such as, for example, the ability to obtain meaningful civil remedies as well as criminal ones. Finally, we look at the membership and ratification of the more modern intellectual property treaties out there, and as a whole, that's what constitutes a country's score. First of all, it's important to emphasize that we did not look only at India, and nor did we look only on pharmaceuticals that constitute about 20% of the total indicators that are measured. We look at, as mentioned before, 30 countries with 30 indicators. However, when you look at India, you see weaknesses across the board. You see weaknesses in the areas of pharmaceutical patent protection and the lack of regulatory data protection, the ease of use of compulsory licenses on the one hand, and the difficulty of obtaining patents on the other hand. We look also at the inability to obtain computer-implemented inventions for technologies that today comprise of the future of smartphones and such. We look also and saw weaknesses in the ability to enforce copyrights, as well as the ability to claim royalties, as well as the option of going to the courts to try to stop infringement and illegal downloading or counterfeiting activities for brands or any other type of copyright relations. Finally, India has also rather weak track of membership in international treaties, which also adds to the rather low score that India got in this version. 20 years after TRIPS have been created, we now have empirical data to validate the relationship between a stronger intellectual property environment, economic growth, technology transfer, foreign direct investment, as well as job creation and access to technologies. For example, an OECD study found that for every percentage increase in intellectual property environment, a country could expect a 2.6% increase in the inflows of foreign direct investment. Other correlations, such as our own as well as others, found that, for example, there is a direct link between a supportive intellectual property environment and the intensity of clinical research that is taking part in that country. Furthermore, we found that there is a good correlation between the level of intellectual property protection and the concentration of high-value jobs in terms of the knowledge economy types of jobs that every country aspires to create. Lastly, we also saw that there is a direct correlation between the strength of intellectual property environment and the uses and access to technologies, for example, numbers of smartphones per country and users. So all in all, I think that the empirical research today suggests that indeed intellectual property environment and intellectual property as a whole is a very powerful tool to generate economic growth.